This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 150 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, I'm talking with Krista Pullman, and we are talking about attraction marketing. You guys are going to want to listen into this episode for two reasons. One, she has amazing content, and you're going to be blown away with the way that in which she breaks this down into and gives you actually actionable advice on ways in which you can use this. Two, it's going to sound like I'm interviewing myself. I don't think I've ever met a person where I was interviewing them and felt like she was saying what I was thinking. It was so weird being on the other end of it and feeling like I was hearing everything that I would say come out of her mouth. So definitely jump into this episode. You're going to absolutely love it. Right. Welcome to the podcast, Krista. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. I am so excited to talk to you about attraction marketing. It's one of my favorite terms. I just love the way that it sounds too. Before we dive into that though, can you introduce yourself and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I am a mom of four, which is crazy. I've got two girls, two boys, and I'm married to a police officer. And my career prior to being online was actually as a crisis intervention manager for police services. And so between my husband and I's schedule, four kids, it was just like nuts. And so I stumbled across this whole crazy opportunity on social media through network marketing, actually. And I was able to leave my traditional career and go full-time in my business. And then kind of became, like you talked about with attraction marketing, like absolutely loved helping other women in business really understand this concept and how to attract people to them for their businesses. And so that's kind of the journey of like how I initially got started online to where I'm at in my business now, and teaching a lot about attraction marketing. So
I love it. And I think that there's so many moms that are at home, they're looking for side hustles. I think that's a lot of times how they start off, whether they already have a blog, but they're looking for ways to monetize. Do you mind me asking what network marketing company you were with?
So I was with Beachbody, okay. And it's one of those crazy things about like, it really did start accidentally for me. I was looking for a way after my fourth baby to get in shape from home with our crazy busy schedules, right? And like the gym just wasn't really feasible in our life. So I didn't even actually know that it was network marketing. And I think that's a lot of similar stories, right? You fall in love with a product and then start to see this like opportunity. And so once I kind of started learning about it, I was like, man, fitness has transformed my life. I think I can do this as a business. And so that's the company that I was partnered with.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I want to make sure, like one of the things that you and I talked about before we even did this episode, we went back and forth in Messenger, and your big thing was that it's not about, I'm going to send a message to someone with the, hey girl, and start it off like in their inbox like that. So
exactly.
You're not going to hear any of those types of strategies in this session. I just want for my listeners that are thinking that's what they're, nope, none of that. So can you define for me what you mean by attraction marketing?
Yeah. And so just to expand on that point that you made, that was actually my greatest pain point in my business was that I built Beachbody entirely authentically in a way where I was genuinely sharing value. And so I'll get into really what attraction marketing means to me. But as I wanted to grow and expand my reach and help more moms either get in shape from home or start a business for themselves, I noticed a lot of the strategies being taught in network marketing were exactly what you said, like just find people on Instagram and message them and be like, hey girl, I just think you'd be an amazing fit for this product or opportunity. And it felt so wrong to me. Like I just couldn't get in line with that. And so I started studying online marketing. And I think a lot of people are afraid of online marketing because it seems like a big, like scary word that you need to have a skill set for. But really, attraction marketing is just sharing your story in a way where you're drawing people into you and building that natural relationship. And I talk about this a lot. Like, I think one of the misconceptions of attraction marketing is that you don't have to talk to people anymore, that people just automatically sign up with you, when really, in fact, it's about building a relationship. And when you know people's pain points, you can offer a solution. And then there's no pitching, there's no awkward cold messages. It's a genuine sharing of something that you're passionate about. And so a lot of network marketers feel that tension of, when you're jumping into somebody's inbox and it's unexpected, you're instantly creating resistance and there's no relationship. And so attraction marketing is just really this like beautiful way of sharing your story, creating content, attracting people who may be potentially interested in what you're doing and forming a relationship with them. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching this strategy.
And I think that it's so smart because you're right. I mean, many of us, I'm sure people that are listening that are thinking in their head, yep, let me raise my hand. I've definitely gotten that message in my inbox and it puts me on my heels. Like you said, I'm not ready for that. I'm not open for it. You and I haven't talked in 10 years. Why are you messaging me about this? So I think that the way that you're talking for us is very similar, especially for my blogger audience. I talk a lot about building that relationship with the brand that they want to work with their audience, right? Like that's what you're looking to do. You have to create that authentic relationship. So if we were to say, could you put attraction marketing into 3 steps of like how to go about it? Kind of like a process. I'm very process oriented.
Yeah. And that's what I love teaching is that like actually giving the tangible steps. So the very first thing is actually branding yourself. And that's something that a lot of people fall into, even if you're blogging and trying to monetize on the blog, you get so tunnel visioned on that one thing, but really you're so much more than just that product. And so it's really understanding what makes you you and also understanding who you're looking to attract and speaking exactly to that person. Because a lot of times, especially in network marketing again, or if you're monetizing with a product on your blog, you think that the product is for everybody. If you have a shake, that was my case in Beachbody. Well, everybody can use this shake. But when you're speaking to everybody, it's not really resonating with any one person. So knowing exactly not only who you are, but who you're trying to attract and speaking directly to that person is going to instantly start to build that relationship. So that is number 1. And that leads us into number 2, which is actually leading with value. And this was one of the places where I, again, struggled with the strategies of like sharing your story is great, but inspiration doesn't sell. Like just sharing your story, it eventually starts to blend in. Like people are going to be like, okay, great, good for you. But what do I get out of this? Like, you really want to provide value to your dream customer. And that's what's going to keep her on your page, right? Like, what is she going to get out of being on your page? And so being able to lead with value and teach her something is going to build that trust level even further in your relationship. And online, trust is like currency. Yeah. And so thinking about what pain points can I solve? And I like to talk about it as becoming a professional problem solver is going to be your greatest asset online. And so that leads into number 3, which is actually creating that content. And that's where you can tie in your story to be relatable. So you're providing value for your dream customer and then relating that back to you. So that's kind of like how I would break down attraction marketing in 3 steps and what I teach people to do to stand out online, to separate yourself from all the other bloggers out there, and go through that process of then deciding how you can solve a problem for somebody and how to create that content for your dream customer.
Can you give me an example as a Beachbody coach that you were? Can you give me those 3? So I could say it's like your avatar, right? That ideal customer that you're trying to pull in. Then tell me, what's the problem that you're solving and what that content would look like on your Facebook page or Instagram account.
Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just thinking of starting a podcast, you need to listen to Buzzcast from the folks at Buzzsprout. Here we go! Buzzcast covers everything a podcaster should know, From marketing strategies and how to make money from your podcast to the latest and greatest tech and industry insights to keep you on the cutting edge. Follow Buzzcast by clicking the link in the description or go to buzzcast.buzzsprout.com and keep podcasting.
Yeah. So for me, like when I initially got started online, I knew why I joined, but I was thinking in my head, like, okay, well, this is going to be perfect for everybody. And that's how I tried to market. And then it just falls on deaf ears, right? So when I really looked at why I started and what my pain points were and translated that into who I was speaking to. So an example of this was I help busy moms get in shape from home in 30 minutes a day or less. That is exactly who I was speaking to. Another big piece of my story was anxiety because I had a high stress job, because I had a busy family, and because I was dealing with trauma all the time. Anxiety was a piece of that woman that I was looking to speak to. So that was my brand. And it was also who I was speaking to. So that's step number one. Leading with value, step number two, is really looking at how I can help that woman. So if I know I'm speaking to the busy mom who wants to get in shape from home, a lot of my content was just pure value based. Like, here are 3 workout steps you can do from home in 5 minutes a day or less. Here is a recipe for, that after school rush when you've got to get your kids to an activity. This is something you can do in 30 minutes a day or in 30 minutes for your meal, and your kids are going to eat it. Working out helped me with anxiety, so value around that. So that was the second piece. And then creating the content was actually sharing that and then tying my story back in. So here are 3 tips that you can do from home to get in shape. And this is how it helped me, and tying that pain point back in. And as soon as you create those 3 pieces, women, or for me, like females were my avatar. And as soon as you're creating content that way, people are like, man, you're in my head. Like, you are speaking exactly to me. And it's crazy how even just with that process, those women would start to be like, raving fans, as I like to call them, and they're starting to want to consume my content. They're looking forward to what I'm putting out because it's helping them in their lives. And then when you make an offer where you're going to monetize, people already trust you because you're giving them value. They know that you can help them create a transformation. And so they're way more likely to raise their hand versus you, like we talked about before, jumping in and being like, hey, I have a workout group. You want to lose 50 pounds? And they're like, who the heck are you? And why are you saying that I should lose weight? And because you've taken them on that journey and you've been in their head. So it's like night and day different.
It's so great because this is the way that you're talking about attracting the right people is exactly what I teach bloggers and those like service-based businesses. It's the same idea. It's that same of just coming across, solving their problem and being able to help them on their journey. You're supposed to be a guide. You're not supposed to be the person that, has the ultimate, here it is, but you want to be able to help them along and build that trust. So one of my big things is always authenticity. And how do you feel that, and I know it's become like everybody's using the hashtag authentic and all that kind of, it's one of those words we all just like to throw around, but how does it come into play when you're talking about attraction marketing?
Yeah. So for me, same thing, like authenticity is the basis of what I think people should build, especially in network marketing, but it's one of those buzzwords. And so what it really means for me is that I think, especially on social media, it's so easy to get caught up in like, what is she doing? What are her posts that are doing really well? And especially in network marketing, you see like the copy and paste scripts, right? And I have a huge problem with those because you're not using your authentic voice. And the way that one person in your company or opportunity posts, or, another blogger that you admire is not the same voice that you have. And so authenticity is really stepping into exactly who you are and what your voice is. And that's ultimately what sets you apart online. You can be marketing, like even you and I, for instance, have very similar things that we stand for and that we teach, but we have our own different spins. And that's what makes us in our business. And so it's really being authentic to who you are, not what superstar coach so-and-so over here is doing. And for me, a lot of that was confidence in myself, right? To actually fully step into, this is my voice, this is what I stand for, and I'm going to authentically share it versus, wow, this girl's amazing. I can just take that and rework it into mine and share it. But people, I don't know, people know when it's not truly you, right? So...
And they can feel when you're confident and when you're not. It's funny that you bring up confidence because that is a huge piece of what I actually talk about inside. So I have a membership site, and next month we are spending the entire month just focused on confidence, because it is. I asked a recent question in my Facebook group, what holds you back about confidence? And a lot of times it's the up and downs of your business can kind of make you feel like, whoa, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the other is we worry so much about what other people think. When if we were to just tell our story and not try to put up this highlight reel that seems just so inauthentic that that's clearly not how we live our lives, we wouldn't be so worried about what other people are thinking. So I love that you bring that piece up for sure. So now when it comes to attraction marketing, is there another kind of piece that you feel like takes it above and beyond? Because you've talked about like telling your story, and a lot of people sit back and say, well, I can do that. And I guess how do you go about getting that confidence even more?
Yeah, well, to get the confidence even more, I think is just truly, you're never going to be ready. Like one of my favorite things to say is ready is a lie. And I think oftentimes we wait like, oh, well, if I just, post this way a little bit more, then I'll be ready to fully share my story. And I can tell you from my experience, that's never going to happen. You have to jump before you're ready and just start sharing your story in that authentic way. And I think something that I didn't talk about in here that kind of sets you apart and takes you to that next level is positioning yourself as an authority. And I know you talk about that a lot as well. And that's where the confidence piece, I think we trick ourselves into thinking I have to be an expert in this field, when really, if you break it back down, you have created a transformation for yourself most often. And so you can be confident of the fact that if you did it, you can take somebody from point A to point B and share the value on how you did that. And that's how you position yourself as somebody of authority online. But that scares a lot of people because that imposter syndrome comes into play. Like, well, who am I to be talking about this?
Right.
Well, you did it. And if you think about it in the way of like, somebody is in the dark right now, struggling with the thing that you used to struggle with, and you are the light. And all you have to do is move them from point A to point B, from the dark to the light. That's what people care about online. And if you can position yourself in a position that you can help that, you can make that transformation happen, people will be raising their hand to work with you. And you have to you have to jump. Like I said before, there's never going to be a time when you're like, I'm ready to do this. Even when I branched out of network marketing to start this business, those were all the same lies I told to myself. Like, oh, there's girls out there who have way more experience teaching attraction marketing. There are, we just tell ourselves all these lies. But then I was like, well, who am I not to do this? Like, I created this transformation in my business. I know I can help people do this. And so I jumped in and started. And yeah, it was scary. And yeah, I doubted myself. But we hit, like, my podcast hit number 5 on the charts within a week. And so it just goes to show when you stop doubting yourself and living in a place of fear and excuses and just jump in, beautiful transformations can happen. And somebody out there needs you to show up and do that for them.
Yes, I love that. When you focus on helping, it makes all the difference. We talk about, you said, creating content for that person, that ideal person that you're trying to solve that problem for. How do you go about finding them? How do you go about attracting them?
So this was one of my favorite things. So I'll give you a really tangible example. So in fitness, when I was coaching with Beachbody, I would look for like, who are the big fitness influencers right now? And as I say their names, you can probably recognize a lot of them. So like for me, it was Emily Skye, Kayla Itziens, Alexia Clark, Jillian Michaels, because they have raving fans of people who want their following for fitness, right? And so engaging with their content, building relationships with people who, are possibly interested in having a transformation. Because here's the thing about finding people, like if I'm making meal plans that have to do with meat and chicken and stuff, I'm not going to market that to a vegan, right? So you have to find somebody who's already interested in what you're talking about. So that was number one, like finding influencers who already actually have massive fitness businesses. And then the other thing is like really thinking about what else are they doing? Like a huge one for me was, what magazines are they reading? And that's a really good one that I've heard for bloggers as well. Like if you're blogging about home decor, are they raving fans of Joanna Gaines? Are they consuming Shape magazine, Women's Health, like all those different kinds of things? And then who else are they following? Like Rachel Hollis, favorite celebrities. And again, that goes back to knowing who you are, because you're wanting to attract people who are just like you, right? So for me with fitness, it was who's loving wearing Lululemon clothing, Fabletics, and building relationships with those people.
Okay. So when you say like finding those people on there, so would you interact with them on their Facebook pages or anything like that? Or were you just talking about that content and knew that by talking about Lululemon leggings, you were going to have those people that were automatically just going to start commenting and interacting with you?
Yeah. So I did both when I I built mostly on Instagram, and that's from my understanding, like your jam too. And so I would do both, create content utilizing hashtags where I can actually get discovered by some of those people. But then also I'm still a firm believer in relationships, and that people are on social media for connections. And so when you're creating genuine connections with people, there's nothing to be, like I didn't feel icky about that because I had no outcome attached to this relationship. And I think that was the difference in network marketing. Like, you're maybe taught to comment on someone's thing and then within 3 days go back and invite them to your opportunity. Whereas this is just genuinely paying compliments to people. And if a relationship forms, great. If not, you made somebody's day. Because the thing is, we're all humans at the end of the day, and people like to be encouraged. So I'll give you an example of this. If I was searching the Lululemon hashtags and found a girl that looks like, hey, she might be my dream customer, I would just leave her a genuine comment like, oh, I absolutely love those leggings. They're one of my favorite pairs. You're rocking them. People love that, right? Like, and there's no expectation from me. And I think that's one of the big things when you take that expectation off of the relationships you're building, because the truth is, not everybody is going to be for your product or opportunity, and that's okay. You're looking to build a business and monetize off of the people who are truly your tribe and your jam. So, and that's how I build my real life as well. Like if I see somebody at the grocery store, I'll genuinely compliment them. Probably never going to see them again. So I am huge advocate for creating relationships, and, even other bloggers, like just being like, man, your content is amazing. Like just pay a compliment to somebody. People value that.
Absolutely. Creating those relationships are just so important. So now you have put together a guide that walks us through. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So the guide is exactly breaking down this attraction marketing framework that I've explained to you guys. And so it's broken down into step 1, step 2, step 3, and just some of the questions to ask yourself. And I've kept it very basic because I don't know about you guys, but I had one here, but I downloaded a freebie the other day that it was like 65 pages. And I'm very like, cut the fluff. Like these are the 3 steps. It's broken down in literally like 1 page. so that you can actually take something from it and start implementing. So that's exactly what it is. It's the attraction marketing framework with those 3 steps that we talked about. And it's crazy how much it's transforming people's businesses, very similar to the strategies that you teach.
Absolutely. I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to link to that in the show notes. So you guys pop over and make sure that you grab that. Krista, where else can they follow you and more of your content?
Yeah, so mostly Instagram is my jam. So I do a lot on Instagram stories. I kind of just take you guys through my day. And so it's literally, my handle is Krista Pullman, my name. And then also my podcast. So it's a brand new podcast. It's called She Breathes Courage. And the reason that I named it that way actually was because it's really about teaching you breathing courage, like truly stepping into who you are and sharing that online. So it's on iTunes, She Breathes Courage, or you can consume it on my website, which is just www.kristapullman.com.
Perfect. Krista, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to my audience. I always love it when it almost sounds like I'm interviewing myself, because the way that we think is very, very similar. It was probably scary for some of my audience to listen to a different voice saying the same things I always tell them.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys, I don't know if it was weird for you or not, but for me, doing that interview was just so strange. I really, truly felt like I was interviewing myself and just listening to everything that I would have said come out of someone else. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you go and grab her 3-step framework to attraction marketing. So important, and it really does translate across anything that you're doing, whether you are a female entrepreneur, if you're a blogger, if you're an influencer, if you're a network marketer. What you are doing here definitely translates, so make sure that you grab that. If you guys have a chance, I would absolutely so appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes. Just make sure you tag me at Jenny_Melrose when you leave that, so that I can send you a personal message thanking you for your review. All right, you guys, until next time, I will see you all then.